not take interest in politics, but politics will take interest in you. So the same applies to AI many times over.
Ilya Sutskever, the man behind the invention of OpenAI, gave a pretty strong speech at the University of Toronto. He expressed great concerns about the upcoming AI, which might disrupt our entire world. Watch this.
I mean, I think anybody has, I think a lot of people have concerns with AI, especially people misusing it.
Right now,
because there's just constantly people misusing it.
We live in the most unusual time ever. And this is something that people might say often, but I think it's actually true this time. And the reason it's true this time is because of AI, right? Obviously. I mean, from what I hear, the AI of today has already changed what it means to be a student by a pretty considerable degree. That's what I sense, and I think it's true. But of course, the impact of AI goes beyond that. What happens to the kind of work we do? Well, it's starting to change a little bit in some unknown and unpredictable ways. And some work may feel it sooner, some work might feel it later. With today's AI, you can go on Twitter and you can look at what AI can do and what people say. And you might feel a little bit of that. You wonder, hey, which skills are useful, which ones will be less useful. So you got these questions.
I mean, they're right. Grok is essentially taking in a bunch of tweets from the platform, or taking internet sources from the World Wide Web.
The real challenge with AI
and
is
they
that
compile
it's
it
really unprecedented and really extreme, and it's going to be very different.
Organized amount of data for you to.
Like, you know, we've all seen AI. We've all spoken to a computer, and a computer has spoken back to us, which is a new thing. Computers would not do this in the past, but now they do. So you speak to a computer, and it understands you, and it speaks back to you.
Right.
And it also does it in voice, and it writes some code. It's pretty crazy. But there are so many things it cannot do as well, and it's so deficient. So you can say it still needs to catch up on a lot of things.
Right.
But it's evocative. It's good enough that you can ask yourself, you could imagine, okay, fine.
Yes.
In some number of years, some people say it's in 3, some people say it's in 5, 10. Numbers are being thrown around. It's a bit hard to predict the future. But slowly,
I mean, yeah, it's already
surely,
came a long way
AI
after
will keep getting
what?
better. And the day will come when AI
After
will
it
do
came
all
out,
of
what?
all the things that we can do.
20 something? What
Not
was
just some of them,
OpenAI
but
first?
all of them. Anything which I can learn, anything which any one of you can learn, the AI could do as well. How do we know this, by the way? How can I be so sure? How can I be so sure of that? The reason is that all of us have a brain.
2015. So yeah, it's been in the works for 10 years already.
That's why.
Right, AI has been already in the works for 10 years.
So why can't a digital computer, a digital brain, do the same things? This is the one.
Well, I mean, actually, it's probably been in the works for the concept was probably being made during the 2010s,
what's going to happen?
2012s.
What's going to happen when
and then they brought it to life 2015.
Those are dramatic questions. And right now, like, you start thinking about it a little bit, you go, gosh, that's a little intense. But it's actually only part of the intensity. Because what's going to happen? What will we, the collective we, want to use these AIs for? Do more work, grow the economy, do R&D, do AI research, so then the rate of progress will become really extremely fast, for some time at least. These are such extreme things. These are such unimaginable things.
Correct.
So right now I'm trying to
basically with the advancement of AI, our understanding of trying to get our understanding and efficiency to get things done quicker.
It's very, very difficult to imagine.
Right?
It's very difficult to
it's going to speed a lot of
really
things up, especially within medical field and
yet
stuff
the
like
logic seems to dictate.
So
that this
yeah, it's only just begun too.
So what does one do in such a world? You know, there is a quote which is like this.
But yeah, with that, there's also the bad usages it comes with, right? People making deep fakes of other people, right? People trying to in a
So the
sense,
same
make
applies to AI many
propaganda
times over.
and push certain
And in
agenda,
particular,
right?
I
Through
think
using
that
deepfakes or
by
AI.
simply using AI and looking at what the best AI of today can do, you get an intuition. You get an intuition. And as AI continues to improve in 1 year, in 2 years, in 3 years, the intuition will become stronger. And a lot of the things that we are talking about now, they will become much more real. They'll become less imaginary. In the end of the day, no amount of essays and explanations can compete with what we see with our own senses, with our own 2 eyes.
Correct.
And especially with AI, the very smart,
yeah, I mean, you can
AI
right.
in the
You
future, there
can
will be
write
very
and write
profound
all you
issues
want,
about
but when you're
making
faced
sure that
with
they
the
say what
with
they
the
say
dilemma right in
and not
front of
pretend
you
to be something
physically,
else.
right in that
And
moment,
I'm really condensing a lot
what the
into a
fuck is
small
writing
amount of
anything gonna fucking
information
do?
here, in time here. But
Oh,
overall,
let me
by simply
try to
looking at
talk
what
this
AI can
person
do,
down from trying to
not
stab
ignoring
me.
it. When the time comes,
No,
that
that
will
bitch is
generate
gonna
the
try and
energy
stab
that's
you. You gotta
required
stop him immediately.
to
You gotta
overcome the
physically
huge
stop that
challenge that
person
AI
from
will
stabbing
pose.
you.
And the challenge that
No
AI poses
fucking
in
pen
some
and
sense is the
pencils
greatest
or pen and
challenge
paper is gonna fucking stop that
of
person.
humanity ever. And overcoming it will also bring the greatest reward. And in some sense, whether you like it or not, your life is going to be affected by AI to a great extent. And
Correct.
so looking at it, paying attention, and then generating the energy to solve the problems that will come up, that's going to be the main thing.
So that was Ilya's view, but to understand the full debate, I want you to watch this interview clip of Eric Schmidt, where he talks about a much broader impact of AI on human lives in the coming years. Watch
Okay.
this.
Okay, so we believe as an industry that in the next 1 year, the vast majority of programmers will be replaced by AI programmers. We also believe
Kinda.
that within 1 year,
I mean,
you will have
extent,
graduate-level
yeah.
mathematics that are at the
Well, I
tippy
mean,
top of
it's going to
graduate
be a
math
balancing
programs.
act because you
There's
still
lots of
need
reasons to think this
programmers
is
to
gonna
program
happen.
those
This is the
AIs, right?
consensus. You go,
Unless
okay,
you're
well,
going to
that's
have the
pretty interesting.
AIs start
Now,
programming
I
each
can't
other,
do that
which
kind of
takes some
math.
time to do.
Very few people can do that math. How can the computer do that math better than anybody else? To some degree, it's
Correct.
because math
I mean,
has a
you
simpler
don't have a
language than human
sentient
language.
AI that can
So the
create
way these
another AI
algorithms
to create
actually
more
work
AIs to
is
do
they're
more
doing
stuff, right?
essentially
Stuff like
word
that.
prediction. So you take a sentence, you take a word out, and then it learns how to put the correct word back in. This is called the loss function, and it's optimized to do that at a scale that's unimaginable to us as humans. So you do the same thing for math, but there you use a conjecture and then a proof format through a protocol called Lean. In programming, it's pretty simple. You just keep writing code until you pass the programming test. So strangely, the first question I always ask programmers is, what language do you program in? And the correct answer is, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Because you're trying to design for an outcome. You don't care what code is generated by the computer.
Correct.
This is a whole new world, okay? So that's
Yeah, whether
1
you're
year,
coding in
okay?
Scheme, Java, I
happens in
mean,
2 years?
it's all right. It's all going to be right. It's all going to turn into bytecode at its core 0101, right? Because that's how that's how some of these chips operate. I mean, it is how these chips operate, right? By binary.
I've just told you about reasoning, and I've told you about programming, and I've told you about math. Programming plus math are the basis of sort of our whole digital world. So the evidence and the claims from the research groups in OpenAI and Anthropic and so forth is that they're now somewhere around 10 or 20% of the code that they're developing in their research programs is being generated by the computer.
Yes.
That's called recursive
Well,
self-improvement, is the technical
exactly.
term.
Because you still
So
have to
what happens
convert
when
it
this thing
into
starts to scale?
bytecode
Well, a lot.
not bytecode. Well,
One way to say this is that
bytecode
within
assembly
3 to
language.
5
Right, you're
years,
always
we'll have what is
converting the
called general
language into
intelligence,
another
AGI,
language, because
which
you
can be
have to
defined as a
fundamentally
system
keep
that is
doing
as
that so
smart
that
as
the
smartest
CPU
mathematician, physicist,
can understand it.
you know, artist, writer,
Because the CPU can only
thinker, politician,
understand
maybe not in the same
binary
level,
computations.
but you get the idea. Just the creative industries and so forth. But imagine that in one computer. Okay, well, that's pretty interesting. I call this, by the way, the San Francisco consensus, because everyone who believes this is in San Francisco. It may be the water. What happens when every single one of us has the equivalent of the smartest human on every problem in our pocket? So it means you have to best architect when you have an architecture problem. Another thing that's going on is the development of agentic solutions. And agents are referred to systems that have input and output in memory, and they learn. An example here is that
basically
I want
machine
to
learning.
buy another house. I happen
Basically,
to
the
like Virginia.
agents
I grew
are
up in Virginia.
incorporating
I say,
machine
"Find me a
learning
house in the
algorithms
Greater McLean
to
area.
better
Look at
learn
that's
from
one
their
agent. Look at all the rules,
right,
figure out how big a
mistakes
house I can
and
build. That's another agent.
corrections, making
Do the
corrections and
transaction to
making
buy the land.
mistakes.
That's another agent.
And they're always going
Design
back
the
and forth
house
and
with
making
a
those
human
corrections and
architect.
mistakes to make
Right,
sure that
but
they
sort
have
of
the
ignore
complete
them for most
accuracy
of the
they
thing, But they
need.
have to sign it off, and then I approve it, and then find the contractor.
They're
right,
proficient.
Hire the contractor.
They're
pay
not
the bills,
sporadic,
and, at the
and
end,
they're able
sue
to
the
stabilize
contractor for lack of
themselves.
performance. Okay. Now, I just gave you the stupidest possible explanation. I just described every business process, every government process,
Yes.
and every
Basically
sort of
growing
academic
pains.
process in our nation.
So it isn't just the programmers that are going to be out of work. We're all going to be out of work.
No, that's not a consequence. I'll come to that. But the reason I want to make the point here is that in the next
I mean, we
year
will
or
never
two,
be out of
this
work.
foundation
We've
is being
created
locked
the
in,
system. We've
and
built
it's
these
not-
things.
We're not going to stop it. It gets much more interesting after that. Because remember, the computers are now doing self-improvement. They're learning how to plan, and they don't have to listen to us anymore.
Yes.
We call that superintelligence, or ASI, artificial superintelligence.
Yes.
And this is the theory.
Basically,
that there will be
in a sense,
computers that
sentient
are smarter
AI.
than the sum of humans.
Able
San Francisco
to,
consensus
right.
is
Just
this
think
occurs
about what
within
the
6 years,
supercomputers
just
are
based on
doing
scale.
around the world right now.
Now,
Just
in
running
order to pull this
constant
off,
computations,
have to have
trying to find
enormous
new ways
amount
to do things.
of
Right.
power. I was here yesterday testifying about this. And we
That's
need
what
like,
these sentient
we- I
AIs
can
are going to
talk
do.
at some
They're
length
they're
about
going to
how many
basically try and
gigawatts
find
and how
new
many
ways
nuclear
to
power plants and all
expand
that kind of stuff we
right.
can talk about separately.
human ingenuity in a
This
sense,
path is not
or
understood
prolong
in our
human life.
society.
Right.
There's no language for what happens with the arrival of this. I wrote a book on this with Henry Kissinger called Genesis, which I recommend, obviously, because I wrote
Available on
it. Available.
Because we've
available
made
in
we've
usual
oper-
places.
right, we built the
But the
systems
important
to
point is,
build in that
this is happening
direction.
faster than our society, our democracy, our laws will address. And there's lots of implications.
Yeah.
That's why it's
Yeah, it's all of our
People do not
implications.
understand what happens when you have intelligence at this level, which is largely free. That's the point.
How do we get ready for it?
Well, we start by talking about it. And by the way, on the jobs thing, everyone assumes that automation will eliminate jobs. If you look at the history of automation ever since the looms and
Yeah,
and, 300
looms,
years ago,
machinery. I mean, in a sense,
jobs
it's
are
still
changed.
right. Jobs
More
change.
jobs are
Yes,
created
exactly.
than destroyed.
They haven't really
In this
taken
case,
away
you have
jobs.
to convince me
Sure,
that
they might
this
have
time is
made
different.
things
If you
efficient
look
for
in
some
Asia,
people
where they,
to take things
for
easier.
whatever reason, are choosing
But,
not to have children.
things
the
still need to be
Asian
operated by
reproduction rate
humans,
is in the order of 1.0 or lower. So they're rapidly disappearing. So the Asian countries are very, very quickly automating.
Correct. Now you
tools
got
that I'm
robot
describing
arms.
Will
Japan.
allow the few humans that will be working very hard in 30 or 40
do-it-yourself,
years, if these
right,
trends
kiosks
continue.
and
The rest
stuff
of us
like
will
that.
be dependent on those hardworking humans. It'll make their productivity much greater.
Now, here's another clip of Eric Schmidt. Here, he shares much deeper concerns about upcoming AI technology. Watch this.
One way to think about the AI that you all know is think of it as language to language. You ask a question, the answer comes back. You ask a question, it can even write code.
Yep.
Nowadays, the models are multimodal. So for example, you can take a picture and say, tell me what's in this picture. Technically, there are APIs which allow one firm to call an OpenAI or Gemini API or Anthropic, et cetera, and do the classification of the picture and so forth. These are all tactics.
Basically, yes.
that
What
increase
happens
the
is
intelligence of the
it's
underlying system.
it's asking other systems to, hey, can you scan this and tell me, right? Can you, pinpoint what these are?
There are three things going on right now this year, so less than the time frame you gave, that are really interesting. One is called infinite context windows. Infinite context windows means that you can keep feeding the answer back in as the question.
Yeah.
So it allows you to do step-by-step planning.
Correct.
How do I build a house? Well, the first is I have to find a contractor. I found a contractor. What do I have to talk to them? Then I have to have an architect. How do I find an architect? Then I have to tell the architect what to do, and then design me the house. I'll give it to the architect. He can redesign it. You know, it's a series of steps. The next one are called agents. And agents is a generally overused term. And most people think that agents will essentially act as memory sources. So an agent can be understood as it's watching something, and when it sees it, it takes an action. It does that by knowing what to do based on what it's seen. The specs for how agents work are completely undefined in the industry. The dominant companies want to have their own agents, and they don't want the agents to interact because they want control for obvious reasons. Many people think that there will be an agent store that you will download, like we see with apps, but not this year. And the third one is text to code. Now, I don't know about you all, but I've programmed and managed programmers for more than 40 years, and they never do what I want. So can you imagine if the computer, you said, write me a program to do this, and it actually writes the code? In our case, the program would be search through all the literature, find out who is working on energy policy, who has a technological background or a role in which they have to be technologically literate, identify them, rank them, score them based on whatever our goal is,
Correct.
and then automatically send them an invitation. If they say yes, say congratulations. If they say no, why not? And call them, and with a synthetic voice, tell them that they're idiots for not coming. That's the kind of program I would write. Thank God I'm not doing that. But you see how easy it would be to automate tasks. So that's, I think, the first step. The next step is not as clear. There's sort of huge contests. There's a huge set of contests going right now, which are at a scale that's unimaginable. You have the big three in the US, Anthropic, which is allied with Amazon, Gemini, obviously, from Google, OpenAI, Microsoft. And let's assume they all do really well. It looks like they're doing really well. I can talk about what their problems are, but fundamentally they're doing well. You have Facebook, which has chosen an open source path for the 400 billion model. That has a lot of implications strategically, right, which we can discuss. All of these are vying for the best reasoning, the best answers, and then the best predictive analytics, the best image classifiers, and the best multimodal. That technology then diffuses, or the technical term is distilled, into more specialized models. And I think that's the action you'll see in the next 1 to 2 years.
You did not mention artificial general intelligence. First, for those of us who aren't necessarily totally up to speed on AI, what is it and where are we?
There are multiple definitions of AGI, but the term has been around for 15 years. The basic idea is, what is the point where you have the flexibility of a human in your intelligence system?
You said 15 years. So ever since 2010, right? They've been working on this since 2002. Right, they've been working on this stuff for machine learning. Right, they've been working on this stuff a lot.
The question: can the computer generate its own objective function?
Right, because they started with deep learning first, then machine learning, and then they went to AI.
What I call the San Francisco School.
AI was around
San Francisco,
2015,
which is a separate set of issues. And
so they built out literally the foundation, and then they went to AI.
Systems, the crank is about 18 months, you get to AGI. And they define AGI as intelligence greater than the sum of human intelligence. I personally think that that's likely, but not in 3 years. Not in...
What is the time frame, do you think?
We don't know.
There you have it. Yeah, that was a good one. If you want to give them a like, subscribe, AI uploads. Did I save this?